UFC 280, big pay-per-view card. I have a video out already breaking down the Sean O'Malley fight with Petr Yan. I'll leave that, wherever. You can just go on the channel. I feel like there's so much hype around this card. From the moment that it was announced, it was unbelievable. And I mean, honestly, even the next pay-per-view with Adesanya Pereira, you also have Yuri, Glover, perhaps John Jones on the December card. There's really one reason why this is so hyped is because, a lot of times with these pay-per-views, as much as there are a lot of toss-ups, and I'm not trying to say like fights are like rigged or fights are easily predictable, but for the most part, they are kind of easy to predict, because you honestly, if you're going to tell me you have a clue what's going on, you're just lying. First, I want to break down the Sean O'Malley fight. Sean O'Malley, obviously, he's been fighting basically, nobodies. The guy that, the best guy he's basically fought was Chito Vera. He lost to him. Then, then he fought a bunch of nobodies. And I won't say that there were nobodies. There were some, guys in there. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. But there weren't guys that were necessarily ranked. But then he fights Pedro Munoz in July. Obviously, everybody knows how that fight went. Major disappointment. O'Malley really, in my opinion, lost the first round. He was gaining a little momentum in the second round, but it was still pretty close. And that's the fight that makes me kind of worried about the Petr Yan fight. Petr isn't a guy in the beginning that comes out with a lot of volume. He does come out with a lot of pressure, forward pressure, but he isn't throwing anything. He's getting the read. I think when you look at the Aljamain fight, the reason that Aljamain won that fight, he was more active in that first round with even just leg kicks. It wasn't like he was doing anything crazy, didn't land anything crazy, but it was just the leg kicks, and that's why I think he won the fight. This is what O'Malley needs to do. O'Malley needs to throw. You saw Petr basically walk down Aljamain, because let's be honest, Aljamain isn't a guy that has knockout power. He isn't a guy that knocks people unconscious. He's really good at submissions and wrestling, but he isn't a guy that could knock you out. A lot of it, like I said, is going to be teep kicks to the body, front kicks to the body, spinning. I think this fight is going to mostly stay up on the feet. I don't rate Jan's wrestling too much. He's more of a striker. His best element is striking. Yes, he might be able to mix it up here and there, but O'Malley has underrated takedown defense, in my opinion. I think if O'Malley comes out how he came out in the first round of the Munoz fight, that's terrible. The thing also about O'Malley is Yan going forward isn't bad, because O'Malley's always going backwards. Either two possibilities. If O'Malley is really prepared, this first round will definitely go to O'Malley. Or if it goes like the Munoz fight, that first round might be very boring. I think the first round goes to O'Malley, third round goes to Yan, and I think it's going to come down to the second round. I can't see O'Malley hitting Petr with like necessarily something that'll just put his lights out. It could happen because O'Malley has that power, but I think most likely it'll be the Yan third, O'Malley first, and middle round up for grab. Like I said, who is the last person that Yan has won a first round with? Uriah Faber? That was how many years ago? He lost to Aldo, lost to Aljamain, lost to Aljamain again, lost to Corey Sandhagen. 4 fights in a row that he's lost his first round because he just is so slow, and he's used to 5 rounds now. And is Yan going to be able to start without those reads? Is he going to be able to throw volume without getting himself caught? Because he's not going to be so comfortable with that and used to that. My prediction, like I said, I'm staying with it. O'Malley by a razor close decision, but I could see it going either way. I really don't see Yan knocking out O'Malley. When people say that O'Malley is going to dominate, I really don't think so. Yan could very much win. I don't think it's going to be a dominant win. Even if he knocks him out in the third round, tires him out, I can't see it being like 30-26 or something, or a knockout in the first round, or just, domination. Now, the co-main event, Aljamain Sterling, TJ Dillashaw. I think the thing that people aren't thinking about this fight is TJ Dillashaw's wrestling. He was a wrestler. He started his career as a wrestler and gained good at striking, and that's how he became a good kickboxer. So he's really able to do it all. I think if you're Sterling really preparing for this, you're worried about this becoming a kickboxing fight, because can Aljamain beat TJ in a kickboxing fight? I don't know. I think if you're giving a power advantage, it would have to go to TJ. TJ has knockouts. He has head kick knockouts. He sets up those head kick knockouts, and he's really good at that. But you don't really see Sterling doing that. I think Sterling's path to victory here is to really mix it up intelligently. It's not to just dive for the legs in the first second. It isn't to just necessarily make this like a whole wrestling for 50-45 fight. I think it's going to have to be, hey, you start this round wrestling, maybe in the last minute, you threaten with a takedown, you feint the takedown, you feint the takedown, hit him with something, and you really think that it's going to be, if you're going to beat TJ, you're going to have to really think about it. And the other question is TJ gonna go for a takedown on Aljamain? To me, when I interviewed Aljamain, it seemed like when he's saying like second round guillotine choke, it seems like that he's anticipating TJ to shoot on him, which I wouldn't think so. I would think that TJ's advantage would be on the feet. He has the power, he has the experience on the feet. I think Aljamain is more comfortable on when he's wrestling. But that being said, he didn't like do terrible against Yan. I mean, yes, he lost the 4th and 5th round, which were primarily on the feet, but he was able to stand with him. It's not like he was like really in any danger. It's not like he was wobbled in that second fight. I think it's going to be interesting. I think this fight is really going to come down to who's the smarter fighter, who's able to mix it up more. This is honestly the toughest fight to call, in my opinion. Honestly, I can't even say a prediction. I think Aljamain is just, you know, he has the more experience right now. Obviously not the more overall experience, but he's been in the ring more. He's been in the octagon rather more. I mean, he's coming off, he won in April. You know, TJ's coming off a surgery. You know, a lot of the odds are against him. He had a razor close decision against Sandhagen, which I thought Sandhagen won that fight. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Aljamain. I think he could mix it up, and I think if he could stand with Jan, I think he might be able to stand with TJ, and I think he might be able to get those takedowns, mix it in well, and those guys know what they're doing. Those guys know how to prepare the guys. Now, main event, Islam Makhachev, Charles Oliveira. Now, to let you guys know, I'm a huge Charles Oliveira fan. I've loved the way he's fight since before he fought Poirier. I just love those kind of guys. It reminds me of Anderson Silva in a way, where he's good on the feet, but he also has amazing jiu-jitsu. I think Anderson kind of leaned obviously towards the kickboxing, while Oliveira obviously strongest suit is the jiu-jitsu, but obviously they both have good of the both. Charles Oliveira also always just pushes forward, and I really like it. I really like his style, and I think overall, like, he's the kind of fighter that I really like to watch. Those Muay Thai jiu-jitsu fighters, I just love that style. Look, obviously this fight is super close, and as I'm saying, I'm a big Charles Oliveira fan, and it's funny because I've doubted Oliveira every single fight since Tony Ferguson. Every single fight I doubted him, man. I thought he was going to lose every single one. So I do hope that trend continues, because I am going to pick Islam in this matchup. I think honestly, when you look at Charles's past and you look at that Kevin Lee fight, he's getting taken down, and I mean, Kevin Lee I don't think is as good a wrestler as Islam is. If you're Charles Oliveira preparing for Islam, I think the number one thing you got to focus on is that cardio. He can't gas out at all. He has to be there 25 minutes of that fight looking for a victory. It reminds me of, you know, a little bit of the Anderson Silva Chael Sonnen fight, where, you know, obviously Sonnen was just mauling him the whole fight, and then at the end he gets submitted in like the last minute, basically like on his way to win the championship. Anderson just submits him right away, and Anderson submits him at the end of the fight. I think going to the ground with Oliveira is risky. I'm not saying that Islam necessarily can't handle it, but it's like if there's like 100 glasses of water and one of them is poisonous, are you gonna drink a glass of the water? No. But in this case, if you do drink one of the waters, you might become a world champion. So Islam is probably going to go try that water, and I think it's risky. It is really risky. Do I think it will pay off? You know, I think Oliveira too, when I say about his game plan, he has to prioritize takedown defense. This thing, he can't just be like, if I get taken down, I've seen him say this before, I think he's changed his mind, but he's like, if I get taken down, I'm inviting the takedown. You can't do that, because eventually, yes, you might get that submission, like I said with Anderson. You're down at the end of the fight, you're down 5 rounds and you've just lost. Those rounds can go by quickly, especially if you're just on the ground just looking for submissions. Especially the later the fight goes on, you know, they're going to be sweaty, Oliveira's going to get more tired, Islam's obviously going to get tired too. I just have a weird feeling though that this fight is not going to be close. As much, I'm not saying that I'm so certain on Islam to win, but I think if Oliveira wins, it'll be so dominant, and I think if Islam wins, it'll be dominant as well. What I see happening is Islam getting a really good position on the ground and just ground and pound, or maybe a decision. Maybe it's a decision, but I'm leaning towards that ground and pound, and not necessarily that Oliveira is going to get knocked out, but I just think the referee is just going to have to step in because Oliveira can't defend himself. And one of the things I think that you guys should really pay attention to once the fight begins is who takes the center. Whoever takes the center is like 10 times more likely to win. If you see Oliveira pushing forward still, even though he's going against a wrestler, that is a great sign if you're an Oliveira fan like me, because both guys, whenever they fight, they're always pressuring. So I'm kind of curious to see who is going to pressure in this situation. I think Islam is going to be pressuring. I don't know, it's tough, but at the same time, I don't think Oliveira is necessarily really afraid of his wrestling. And two, when you look at Oliveira's wrestling preparation he posted, I mean, he's really training with top level guys, top level wrestlers that he is doing well against. So like I said, it's a tough fight. I think he, like I said, prioritized takedown defense. He's got to have really good cardio, stay in there the whole fight. You see, the thing about Islam is that Islam is a good striker. He's a better striker than Khabib, I can tell you that much. So, but do I think he's better than Oliveira? I don't think so. I think Oliveira has really good power, and I think it'll be interesting to see. You know, I think Oliveira has a lot of pressure on him going into that fight, so it'll be interesting to see how he does it. I think really all the pressure is on him. Islam, there's some pressure too to live up to Khabib's legacy, you know, that a lot of people are expecting him to fall into his shadow. And let's be real about Islam, the only reason he's really here is because he's with Khabib. You cannot tell me with a serious face that he would have gotten this title shot if he was a random guy. But those are my predictions, you know, to go over them. Makhachev, probably by ground and pound. I think a close decision, Aljamain, a close decision as well for O'Malley. For the other fights, I would say, just to give a quick one, Sean Brady, I almost said Tom Brady. Sean Brady, I think, beats Bilal Muhammad. I think maybe even a knockout, perhaps. He's really good in both aspects. I think he could definitely defend the takedowns from Muhammad. But Beneil versus Gamrot, I respect Beneil, and I love Beneil a lot. I hope he wins, because I think I respect a lot that he's taking this big challenge that he doesn't really have to. He was ranked pretty high. He was a fight away from getting a title shot. Now he's fighting his prospect. So I do respect that a lot, but I think Gamrot is going to win. He's the younger guy. He's got the wrestling. He also proved his stand-up abilities in his last fight. I think it's going to be a good one. You know, a lot of these guys, you know, Arman Sarukian also that lost to him. I mean, he's also a guy that's high level. And I mean, when you look at Rafael Fiziev as well, a lot of those guys in the top 15, well, not the top 15, but the guys that are from 15 to 10, they're really good, you know, and Gamrot is one of those guys. But let me know your predictions. You know, I'll do some sort of reaction to the pay-per-view, you know, talking about what happened afterwards. Expect more interviews next week. It's just kind of hard because of the Abu Dhabi time. I wanted to interview more people on this card, but the Abu Dhabi kind of time difference was a problem for a lot, but it is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a like if you do, and yeah, thank you so much.